Did I get everything? Is that better? Yeah, you don't wash your windows with Fiji? Excuse me. Still cold. Still loving it. Oh, I left some streaks. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Let's see. Is it going to clean up? Hold on. Oh, that's way better. So much for microfiber. All right. Let's see who's here. And we'll get started. What do we got? 73 people. We got Lita, we got Venus, Chrissy, Maria, Gary, Captain Lope, Janice, Dion, Chris Nat and Frank, Boston Bob, Bob Long, Miss Vacation, Enrique, Joseph Q. Keep them coming, keep them coming. And the slots. I like saying that. N90, Mark 1. No, I wasn't pumping. Yeah, I could pump you guys. Give me a nice tip. Amy F. All right, let me put this phone to the side. I am in, where the hell am I? I am on, how about I turn the camera around? Excuse me. Got this cough that won't go away. Raw. There we go. Oh, I'm all up in your grill. Let me slide my seat back. Is that better? Yeah, it's better. What's going on, people? All right, it is a Friday afternoon. I think I'm on, where am I at? Spring Mountain Road. Figured I'd do story time. Wow, that was a workout. I'm like out of breath grinding on that window. What up? I got my, we'll talk about that later. Right after this, I told you I got my Toomey bag back from the Toomey shop. So they got to fix my busted zip. I know I caught it on something, but it wasn't covered under warranty. These. But I found a spot who said they're going to fix it for around 50 to 75 bucks. So to me, that's absolutely worth it. So we're on Spring Mountain. Friday afternoon. People have been asking for story time. I got story time for you. So before we get started, do you want to go, because we'll drive around the strip a little bit so you don't get bored, because I'm not going to have the camera pointing at me. During story time, I'll give you the views out that way. I was going to do the split screen thing, but I don't want to like get distracted and look at myself and, you know, all this other type of stuff. And I'm not going to be able to keep up on the chat the way I normally do, because I'm going to be driving, so I don't want to die. So, do you guys want to go down Spring Mountain straight up to the strip, or do you want to kind of go like the roundabout way through the hood? Let me know. You know, like Penwood, the spot that always has the perpetual police cameras. You know, we can go that way and get some local flavor. Let's see. So that's up to you. So I'm gonna wait for you to figure it out. Yeah, I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. What up? That's the box back there that they shipped the frickin' Toomey bag in. At least they paid for all that. Bastards. Go through the hood. Okay, we got a tiki lounge. We got to go through the hood. We got to go a roundabout way. We got a little bit of adventure. Yeah, we'll do half and half. Like, I'll circle through the hood and then I'll make my way back. But in the meantime, because it's story time, I'm going to invite you to like, share, subscribe through the hood. All right. and hit that bell button like this, bonk, and that helps me out a lot. The bell button is freaking powerful. Sharing is more powerful than the bell button, but where are you going to share the video? I never understood. Share my video. Where the hell are you going to share it? I just never got that part. But shares are like, it's like if 1,000 people click like at the same time. But where the hell are you going to share a video? I don't know. Two of my old ones, two of my local mall videos got published on some other person's site, and they're blowing up for absolutely no reason. They're like 3 years old. So some people do scrape them and embed, because I allow people to embed them. I don't care where my views come from. But as long as it's not on a corn site, you know what I'm saying? So, it's story time. I want to get rolling. Let's see. I got my coffee. Remember this cup? St. Jude's. That was, what was this? This was swag from a convention that we crashed. I think that was back about a year ago, half a year ago, whatever, over at Planet Hollywood. So yeah, I still use that. I got my Liquid IV, soon to be a channel partner. And I hope you do the same. Grab a drink, get comfortable if you want, because I'm a good storyteller, in case you didn't know. Close your eyes, go in a dark room, and just take it in. Go there with me. I'm prepared to go there. I mean, this story is like, picture a combination of The Town with Ben Affleck and The Warriors from like the 70s or whatever that is. It's fun. It's going to be a good story. I'm going to tell you all about the characters, all the players, all the actors, and all the rest of that stuff. So it's going to be fun. And don't forget to click on any links, and any super chattage during would be absolutely wonderful. Pay for my gas driving around, and as well as clicking on the links. Boom. All right. So we got 120 something people, and I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to slide my seat back up in your grill. I sit really, really close. I try to keep my car clean. I sit really close to the steering wheel like a grandma and whatnot. I do. And I have it like all the way up. Like, boom, there's my head. All right. The Range Rover's in the shop. All right, let's drink some water. Ben Affleck, yeah, exactly. He's a townie. A little bit of Liquid IV. Keep me hydrated, a little bit of coffee. All right, I'm going to turn this around. You guys know the trick, right? You fill it up with hot water first, and you let it sit like boiling-ass water. I use a kettle, an electric. I'm all up in your grill again. I use an electric kettle because, like, screw boiling water in a pot. And then I pour it in there. It gets the inside hot. Then I put the coffee in. And it's freaking gold. All right, I'm turning this around. Enough of me. All right, let's get the angle of the fajangle correct. Gaz. 5 banana rounds. Oh, I went too close. 5 banana rounds for an ice cream stop. I think I might make a Dutch Brothers stop later, but I think I'll go on the strip instead of staying strictly local. I gotta, I would like to stay strictly local for this drive. Let me get a seatbelt on because I'm like Captain Safety over here. But I know the views are never as good when I do strictly local driving. Oh, I burped that. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, you ready? Let's go driving. Oh, I guess I got to turn the car on. How about that? Like, damn, I broke down. Oh, wait. Got to turn the car on. All right. This Roberto's over here, me and the boys, we was hanging out. Like, we went to Prime. We went to, like, in the same day. We went to Prime. We went to Bavette's. We had cocktails. We were in the high limit room. And at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, we're like, oh, we're still hungry. Let's go to Roberto's in the hood. That's how we roll. You know? It was all right. Nobody really got the Hershey squirts or nothing. It was all right. All right, let's not run this cat over. So I'm going to try not to pay attention too heavily to the chat. so we don't die, because that would suck. This here is a pew-pew location. A pew-pew. Like right in the hood. This is like semi-hood. This is kind of like Chinatown. This is off-hood. Alright. I use my blinkers, so don't get annoyed. I'm like one of those people who actually utilizes them. Like, everyone's probably grateful behind me. They're like, oh, very nice of you. Thank you. Now I understand what you're doing. And everyone in front of me never uses them. That's, I don't know, that's like a chromosome defect. People who don't use their blinkers. What up with that? Alright, we'll get into story time once I gotta get into my groove of talking and driving. So just chill out. I will probably, after this video is done, I will, local bars, tattoo spots, yada, 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 dangerous, dangerous apartment complexes. That's still like $1,200 for a, you know, a studio. So I gotta find my groove. I'll probably put timestamps to when I actually start, and maybe I'll make a separate video. I don't know. This corner is buck wild. People just fly through it. Oh, we could stop and buy some oranges. Yeah, the orange dealer's on the corner there. Cool. Yeah, Tuddy Bartelheim is in this story. He's a fan favorite, Tuddy Bartelheim. Like I said, I'm going to break down all the players. I'm going to bring it to life. So I want you to just chill out, maybe even go in a dark room somewhere. Just come along for this adventure. Like every time I go through this corner, I'm just like, whew, made it. That's a dangerous corner. It's so highly trafficked and there's no light whatsoever. I'll try not to like keep the engine on friggin' 9,000 RPM so you can actually hear me. All right, are we angled correctly? Yeah, looks about right. All right, let's cruise around like Penwood. What did I tell you? There's like a constant cop presence. They got lights all over this corner. I don't know who's getting murderlated, but someone is. At night, it's freaking gangster over here. They used to have a one of them Amazon boxes outside, but no. People are getting all jacked and whatnot. Alright, where are we now? We can cut through some of these side roads. Hold on. But we are going back on the strip. Let me get this angle. I'm not thrilled with the angle. It's an angle of the fajangles. Alright. Alright, let's turn down here real quick. So you two could live here. Yeah, these are probably like 900 for a studio over here. Wow, they painted them. Hot shit. This is, well, you can see where it is. Straight ahead is the FB, the Fontainebleau. Greenville Apartments. Like someone could look that up. Greenville Apartments. Now leasing. Yeah. Yeah, it's roughneck. I mean, when the apartment takes the time to put bars on the window for you, you know you in the hood. And this is Valley View. You could see, what do you see? They go the RW off in the distance, Trump. Let's navigate this traffic real quick. Raw. Yeah, once I get out of this local scene, local Vegas drivers are like a-holes. We'll get to talking. Blinker, blinker, Easy Pawn, Amco. There was a ton of homeless people in tents up and down over here. I don't know what happened to them. I mean, hopefully something good. Earl Scheib. in case you gotta fix your car, you got your Earl Scheib over there. You got your Dotties. What else you got over here? I don't know. It's crafty. You got your dispensary, of course. That's a given. You got your pupusa spot over here, which is awesome. I don't know if you guys know what pupusas are, but they're good. I mean, some people, like, pupusa is a slang for, I'll leave it to your imagination in some cultures. You know, nice pupusa. But pupusas are good. Cheese-filled, freaking delicious, oil-soaked. Oh, delicious. But they got a great pupusa spot over there. All right, we're going to make this turn. Yeah, easy porn is everywhere. Same with the title joints, you know, where, like, they loan you, like, $1,000 against the title of your car. And if you default, they keep your car. I mean, that's like, you know, that's like garlic on your breath activities. No, we don't want to go down here. What did I just do? See, that's what I'm talking about. Don't want to do this. Oh, I'm screwed, blued, and tattooed. All right. We don't have a choice. No, I know where I can cut in. I'm on Desert Inn. I thought we was going to come out on Spring Mountain. See, I'm over here yapping. You got a Ford Pinto painted for $40. Sweet. At Earl Scheib. Now I can read the chats. I had a Pinto. It was boss. I put like big mags on the back and little bicycle tires on the front Kragers. You know, look cool. Bill's coming in November. Awesome, awesome. Let's see who else is here. Alan's here. Kingfish. What are you guys talking about? See, I'm going to try not to get distracted. That's why I want to go towards the strip. That way I don't have to navigate this. This is like semi-rush hour. This is the beginning of rush hour. Hits a peak between 4 and 5, and it's just wild. I'm reading chat. Chat activities. Maria kicking off the super chat with the $1.5 banana ramas. They supposedly caught fire. That's what Ralph Nader used to say. Like if you got crashed in the back, you know, you'd explode in a ball of flames. It never happened to me, so I don't know. But I did end up having a wreck with that car. That guy souped up his little smart car, little golf wagon. Mark 1 with a gallon of gas. Thank you very much. That's exactly what it costs right here. You see the, what is that? That's a Sinclair up there. What are they talking about? They're talking about $429. That's what we're paying right now. I mean, you could drive around and find like $399 and, you know, risk life and limb like I do. But, you know, whatever. Do I need any help for the homeless? Could definitely use some socks. Socks have been huge. You know, what I stopped doing with socks is giving out like one pair. You know, I used to only give out one pair, and then I was like, no. So I've been giving out like 2 and 3 to everybody at a time. So that has depleted the, let's cut across here. All right, I know where we're going now. That has depleted my sock supply, but everything else I'm pretty good with right now. You know, as the weather changes, we might need different things. These are expensive apartments over here. I mean, it's still kind of semi-hoodish over here, but these are like built by a Chinatown corporation. We could hang a, excuse me, we can go straight now. Let's go over Spring Mountain here if we don't get killed. But those are freaking expensive. All right, these people are being very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Good looking out. Good looking out. Let's see if these people are going to try to kill us. No. Let's go. And Gary with the 10 banana rounds. Got the gas now. Alright, we'll start, I'll get into, I gotta keep an eye on the, what do you call it? I gotta keep an eye on the meter, so if I don't I'm gonna shut up if I'm driving through a dead area, because I want you to hear every little bit of this. Watching out to the brand Bombas. I will look into them. All the comments, and a lot of times I feel bad afterwards. Like, I watched that whole live stream from last night, and I thought I had fun with myself watching that live stream while I was doing some editing this morning. I was just like, yeah, that was a cool live stream. I enjoyed it. I laughed at myself and whatever, but I do generally read all the comments the next day, unless YT slams it and they remove the comments and all that other type of stuff. So, yeah, but sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, oh, you know, like Venus, I saw that you had asked towards the end of the stream, do I need anything for the homeless people? But I never replied to you because, you know, I'm in that either stream of consciousness or trying not to trip off a curb or whatever. But I do read everyone's comments, so don't think I don't. All right, I'm going to show you a little back way. Like, okay, we're on Spring Mountain. I'm going to start off we'll start the story off at the wind core. So watch this. Blah. This used to have a lot of homeless encampments too, but I don't know what happened with that. Like I said, hopefully something good. What's this guy taking us for a free ride? Taking us for a slow ride, a free ride. Is that? Oh, that guy's got like a 420 leaf up there. I'm gonna show. Oh, that was a maneuver, bro. I'm gonna show you how the pros do it. See, like if I was coming down here. Oh, let's see if we can make this lip. I don't have to get on the strip. I'm writing about highway patrol. Dang, bro. Oh, dude. Soccer Mom had some seriously inflated lip activities. Alright, so we cut through the parking lot. Getting a little sketchy over here. Signal will clear up in a moment. We're behind buildings and such. Come on now. Come on now. Go, 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 go. We got to go. Like I said, it's turned into rush hour over here. I think we're back. All right, good. Yeah, you see where we are now, right? I'm debating whether to reset the signal, but we look pretty freaking good right now. Alright, let's chill a second. Are we good? Yeah, we look alright. You see how we did that off of Spring Mountain? That way you don't have to hit the strip. And then if I was going to make a left right at this light, and then the first right, that's the parking garage for the wind core. And that's how I get to the wind core fast. Because I try not to drive on the strip as much as possible. I mean, I do, but, you know, why? At this stage of the game, it's like, why? All right. I'm not sure if we're flying. Who's flying? Who's driving? What up? Let me put my other phone down and be freaking safe. Imagine kissing the back of this thing. You would be wrecked if you weren't paying attention. This dude bumper is like set up for decapitation. That's kind of beat. What's this bus? Deluxe coach. All right, now we got signal activities. Okay, so I'm gonna have some coffee and story time. What you've all been waiting for. I want to see this guy make this turn first. See if I can make it. They let the cars turn and the people cross at the same time. This is kind of wacky for pedestrians. All right, come on, bro. You can do it, bro. All the way from Oklahoma. All right, here we are on the Las Vegas Strip. Okay, our story begins back in the day. And this is the story about the time I was carjacked and all the events that followed. Some names may have been changed to protect the innocent, and this story may or may not be true. Lawyers, YT. Now, my young All right, are we back? Holy cow. That was crazy. The phone actually freaking overheated. I just had to put on my air conditioner with the blowers on it. Let me see if that's all right. Yeah, that's cool. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of a gloomy-ass day. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm going to have to start this. You guys are still there? You watched that old fajangle? Yeah, the phone overheated. I hope it cools down now. Let me move some air in front of it. All right. Just deal with the sound. I'm going to start the story all over again. Oh, shit. Let's not go through the light. Pay attention there, Bror Fredrik. Maybe this wasn't the best idea. Backing up in the middle of the strip. Alright. Hopefully it cools down. I don't want that happening again. Alright. Are we ready? Okay, this story takes place. I'm going to tell it all over again. This, that was an odd thing, right? Man, I should pay attention. This story takes place back in the day. It took place in my Gran Torino. It took place maybe early summer, late spring. It took place about 9 to 10 p.m. So, I'm cruising through Queens, right? And I stopped to see this guy. And I don't exactly remember his name. His name was either Ray or Ralph. I cannot remember. But this cat was like, look at all these people. Holy shit. This cat was like the kind of guy who was raised by his grandparents, if you know what I'm saying. You know, it's like one of those type of situations. Raised by his grandparents. I sit outside on the porch of his house, and it didn't matter whether it was summer or winter or whatever, with a sheepskin coat on. One of those big old school, see now they're being the D's. A big old school sheepskin coat on, like with the skin on the outside and the sheep part on the inside with the big freaking sheep collar and whatever. And he used to wear like some Timbo type things and whatnot. And he used to sit on the porch. I don't know what dirt he was up to. I don't even remember why I was there, quite frankly. But, and by the way, okay, I told you I'd tell you all the characters of the story. He's dead. He got killed, in a car accident with this guy, Johnny, I'm not going to say the last name, Johnny whatever. He fell asleep at the wheel, and they smashed into like a freaking something, and they both died and whatnot. So that kid was gone like a couple months, maybe a year after this story. So he's gone, but he's not a major player. But I was talking to him. I remember we was sitting on a stoop. He had a sheepskin on, blah, 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 blah. So I'm cruising away. And this is like, I think, 138th Street. So I'm cruising down the block, and this block is like sketchy. And I'm cruising, and I'm making my way down to like Mentone Boulevard. And I know right there for a fact is a weed spot. There was weed spots all over, 420 spots. So okay, whatever. But that's not what I was there to conduct business about, I think. Unless it was with Ralphie or Ray or whatever his name is, but definitely not this crafty location. So I'm like slow rolling down the block, and these are like small side streets, like back on Penwood. It's not like these are big streets or nothing. So I'm cruising down, and suddenly a few guys walk in front of the car, and I don't really think too much about it, because, you know, it's a 420 spot, and I figured they were just going to try to hustle some 420, you know, see if I want a nickel bag or a dime or whatever. So I didn't really think a lot of it. And when someone steps in front of your car and you don't have, like, specific knowledge or reflexes, like nowadays, if, like, 8 people stood in front of my car and blocked my path, they better get the hell out of the way, because my brain would know that, you know, danger might ensue. But I was a little knucklehead back then. I didn't give 2 F's, so I thought they were just like trying to see, you know, kind of in a strong armish way to see if I, you know, wanted to take them up on their, you know, nickel bag situation or whatever, which I didn't. Now, mind you, it's a little warm, so I had my driver's side window open, and I had my arm on, you know, like the elbow, like a little bit out the window, you know, using it as an armrest and whatnot. And 2 guys come to the side of the car, and they do. They're just like, hey, what's up, blah, 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 you know, and they were trying to see what's what. You know, I figured it was just, you know, a transactional thing, and I'd move on. This one guy grabs my wrist with both hands and pulls it straight out the car door, and this other guy presents this giant meat cleaver, like a Bill the Butcher level giant ass meat cleaver. Let's get around this guy. I want to see views. Oh, and red lights. It was like a foot long. It was like a big nasty looking thing, and he's just like, I'm gonna chop your arm off. You know, get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. I'm like, you know, meanwhile, it's hard to get out of the car when this guy's like seriously like trying to pull me through the window. And there, like I said, there was a bunch of them. There was like 7 or 8 of them, you know. So I opened the thing. You know, I left the keys in the car. That plays later into the story. So I leave the keys in the car in the Torino, and I open the door, and he's still holding on to my arm, and the other guy is still brandishing this giant ass meat cleaver. And I get out of the car, and in order to let me go so that they can, you know, jack the car and all get in it, the one guy had to let go of my arm because it's through the door, you know, like with the door frame and everything. So, okay. And, you know, back in the day, you know, let's just clear that up a little bit. Pew activities were not as common as they are now. Like, nobody was really, you know, packing burners and whatnot, you know, back then. I mean, I was like a teenager. So people, and these guys were probably like teenagers, you know, late teens, early 20s. So it wasn't like, you know, like people feared getting lead, you know, but a giant meat cleaver is pretty freaking intimidating. All right, so they had to let me go in order for me to leave the vehicle, but I was still fearing for my life. But like any good citizen of Queens, I was wearing my, like a cut-off denim. It was like an old denim jacket, but you had to cut the sleeves off and whatnot and make like a vest out of it and whatever. So I was wearing one of those. And in my waistband, I had a pair of nunchucks, right? So everyone has nunchucks. So I reached in the back, and they wanted to get my wallet. You know, they were like, well, what else you got, blah, blah, blah. And they were like kind of circling me, but they didn't really get to circle me because I was like, you know, slowly stepping backwards away from the car, and I'm sweating the freaking car, what might be in it. I mean, it's a whole freaking train wreck. So, but I'm conscious enough to pull out my set of nunchucks, right? So I'm like, bang! I clocked the first dude that was holding me. I freaking beamed him, and then I came across and I beamed the guy in the arm that was, you know, that had the big freaking Bill the Butcher meat cleaver. So I clocked him, bang, bang, and then I hauled ass. So I'm running, so I'm running as fast as I can, as far as I can, and I don't run fast. You know, let's just get that straight. I can run far, but I can't run fast. So I book. So the first place I start booking, there was an abandoned AMP. It was either an AMP or a Bohack that was like abandoned for like a freaking 100 years. The front glass was all busted and everything. So I booked through there. Well, I figured they didn't even follow me because they wanted the car. So I got carjacked, right? So my Grams, she lives like 3 or 4 blocks away from this spot. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go see I'm going to go stop by Grams. But then I realized what time it was. So I walked by Grams, and I'm like, I knew where, everyone stashes the key. I know where Flower Pot the key was under, right? But I'm like, I'm going to scare her. Then I got to talk to her. Well, the reason why I want to stop by Grams is because, mind you, I'm like 5 miles away from my apartment, kind of little slightly different neighborhood, but still, it is what it is. Still in Queens. So I'm like, oh. So I stopped by Grams. I'm like, oh, should I take her car? Nah, it's okay. So, my wits aren't about me, but that was like the first safe place. So I go walking, right? So I'm like, shit, I got to walk all the freaking way home because I ain't getting on a bus and whatnot. I don't know the deal. So I'm walking. Now, in between my place and the walk home, about a half a mile closer, this girl I was seeing at the time, her name was Gina. Like every girl in the neighborhood was named Gina. So I was like, seeing one of the Ginas, Gina P, Gina V, Gina S, whatever. They were all Ginas, right? So I go see that. I go see her, and because, I wanted to rest. I mean, my freaking heart is still beating. I just got jacked and I almost had my arm cut off. So, like, all right, I should probably call the cops, So I would call the cops from her house, and her mother's out there and whatnot, and, call the cops, yada, yada, yada. And granted, this is the 113th precinct back then. And the 113th precinct governed an area like that whole section of Queens, but it was like far away. It was like miles. And they used to maybe have like 2 cruisers in the whole entire neighborhood back then. And they weren't known for their, how would I say, efficiency in police activities back then. So ultimately, after about 4 or 5 hours, it's like late, I'm ready to split, but they said they was coming to take a report. And they finally show up after like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it is. So I'm telling them the story about how I got jacked at the weed spot. And they're just like, you called us out because you got jacked at a weed spot? And I'm like, no, you don't get it. And the first thing I thought of, I was like, I was visiting my grandma. And they're like, sure you were visiting grandma. I'm like, seriously. And my grandma, if they would have called her, she would have been like, if he said he was visiting me, he was visiting me. I remember exactly what I gave him. You know, like, grandma's just, you know, she was a gangster. So I had no worries there. But it was kind of suspicious. It wasn't from the weed spot, but I wasn't there for the weed. So, you know, I was telling the truth. But these cops were just like, you freaking D little punk ass gangster denim jacket wearing D. And they went about, they're like, oh, we'll take the report, and if we happen to see your vehicle, you know, we'll like kind of roundabout let you know, whatever. Okay. So, a couple days go by, and now I had like my keys, you know, like that is the number one reason I don't have my house keys on my car. Like on my car ring, there's like next to nothing to this day from that event, because I had my house keys on there and everything. There's a lot of stuff. I had stuff in the car. I'm sweating whether these guys are gonna like rifle through my glove box, find out where I live, you know, all this other type of stuff. I had the keys to my place. I changed lock. I mean, like all this over 3 days. So then, where are we? Oh, we're over by the sign. So then, my boy Parker calls me. This is like 3 days later. Parker calls me. Parker, I known Parker, like, me and him were bros since, like, we was like 5 years old. Parker. He lived right by my grandmother, like, right on the corner and like 2 houses in this big old house. So Parker and me were friends forever. Parker was like, to this day, he's probably the darkest brother I've ever seen or anyone has ever seen in your entire life. We used to call him Midnight. So when me and Parker rolled around, it was like freaking salt and pepper, but we were like super tight bros, you know? Parker was my boy. Okay, so Parker calls me up, and Parker's still alive, because I told you, you know, let me give a little backstory. Parker's still alive. I know that for a fact. Parker, AKA Midnight, I like calling him Parker because it's just a cool freaking name, Parker. All right, so Parker, he used to mow my grand's lawn and take out her garbage until she died at the age of 94. Like, he took care of it. Like, I left New York, you know, in the 90s, you know, like the late 90s and whatnot, and he continued to stop by. And I went back a couple times, obviously. And she's like, you know, that nice boy Parker, you know, he still comes and mows the lawn and whatnot. So, you know, shout out Parker if I, you know, ever see you up in the YouTube activities, whatever. But yeah, he took care of Graham like till the day she died and whatever, you know, and I didn't even know that. You know, I found that out like years later. I mean, that you're talking about years, for like 2 decades. You know, he was taking care of Graham. So I thought that was pretty freaking awesome. I think we're going to turn around over here. I'm freezing in here. I got the AC on like 50 to try to keep this phone from overheating. This phone records and streams at the same time. That's why it overheats so fast. Yeah, let's whip around. No, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We got good connection. We're over by Harry Reid International Airport. Okay, so Parker calls me up. He's like, yo. I'm like, what? He's like, I seen your car. I'm like, where's that? He said, the guy's got it over by the handball courts at Springfield Park. Now, Springfield Park it's like every movie you ever saw describing how bad Central Park was back in the day before they turned it into like a rich people paradise and whatnot. Like back when they filmed like Warriors and Death Wish and all that other stuff in Central Park, you know. I mean, that's where everything went down, you know, bodies, everything. Central Park. This was like a small Central Park. You know, it's like the first place I ever fished, to be perfectly honest. I fished there, and man, let me stay on the road. you know, a lot of firsts took place there. There was like these little bridges over the lake, but it was gangster. It was freaking gangster. During the day, it was one thing, but at night, the freaks came out. You did not want to be... Well, no, we used to hang out there. Normal people would not want to hang out at Springfield Park, right? You can Google it. I don't care. I mean, except like they had the Knights... plane. What a plane. There was like a Knights of Columbus on the corner, or Sons of Italy. I think it was a Knights of Columbus back then, you know? So, you know what I'm saying? So that was like kind of like the outpost, you know, to kind of keep, you know what I'm saying? All right. So he calls me up. He's like, yo, I seen your vehicle. It's, you know, these guys, you know, they got it down by the handball court that we used to just call it the park, but that was Springfield Park. They're at the park. And I'm like, all right. He's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, let's go get my car. I'm like, so he's like, I say to him, I was like, whose car we taking? He's like, don't worry, I got it. I'll get my mom's car. I'm like, all right, cool. So like a half hour later, because he lives up on the Grams, he comes rolling in. Nice plane. He comes rolling in with his mom's like Buick 88 with the bench seat in the front, the bench seat in the back and whatnot. So I jump in the car with Parker, and he's like, well, you know, we gotta, you know, think we should get some people. I'm like, yeah, let's go by Tuddy's house. So the first place we stopped was by my boy Tuddy Bartelheim's house. And Tuddy is, let me describe Tuddy. He's starred in another story where me and him, that is so, like, he just lost 3 inches of his manhood putting that muffler on, and everyone knows it. Okay. I think we should turn around. The signal's still pretty good. Okay, so Tuddy Bartelheim, he was in another story where, like, we accidentally got our hands on some Thai stick and went on this whole big adventure. You can go search that out or whatever. Tuddy Bartelheim was sort of like a burnout philosopher biker dude, just kind of down for anything, you know, very philosophical kind of... Yeah, philosophical, gangster, burnout, biker, kid, sort of. Tuddy Bartelheim. Okay, so we roll by Tuddy's house. He's like, I'm there, you know, so Tuddy Bartelheim is in now. So he's like, so we're like, where next? Okay, so then we go and hit up Rob. And Rob, Im Rastafari. So, to this day, let's give backstory on Rob. To this day, he is the reason, if you've ever heard me talk on my live streams, he is the reason why I say, yeah, man, all the time. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You know, hey, what's up? Hey, you're good, man. Yeah, man. That's the reason. Because, I mean, obviously, when he said it, yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I was just, like, into the culture. You know, I used to run with his set, you know, in the Rastafarian community and whatnot. So, but he was my bro. So now a little more backstory on him. Yes, he jumped in the car. A little more backstory on him. He went insane. He ended up in the Creedmoor mental facility. He lost his mind because he got a hold of, I think we're going to turn soon. Wow, the car is nice and cold now. He got a hold, like, there was this rivalry going on, you know, around, like, you know, the Jamaica area, like Jamaica, Queens, between some different sets in the Rastafari community, and he got dosed with some, it was dust back then. It was a dust, you know. So he got dosed with some dust and lost his freaking mind. That's a whole nother story. That's freaking gut-wrenching. He was my bro. But he completely lost his mind, ended up in a mental institution. But anyway, he rolled with us that day. So now it's Parker, me, Tuddy Bartelheim, and Rob Rastafari. Let me wait for this to turn. All right, so then we're like, well, you know, there's 4 of us. There's still room. There's a bench seat in the front. There's still room for like 2 more people. And if we're going to go, like, you know, deal with these freaking meat cleaver wielding freaking maniacs. I want a little more of a crew, you know, want to roll a little deeper. So I was like, let's drive into town and see who's hanging out. Now, town was town. We used to just call it town. There was like a bohack there. There was like, you know, like a barber who, you know, kept the combs and the blue stuff. There was, you know, a bar where like, you know, all the guys who came back from Vietnam used to hang out in. There was a public library. There was either the Sons of Italy or Knights of Columbus, just like whatever the other one was from Springfield Park. That's what this was. They had like an old school butcher, you know, like, you know, Sam the Butcher bringing Alice the meat, you know, candy store. And they had a public library of all things. So we're cruising. In front of the public library, I see this guy we used to call Destructo. You know, I ain't gonna tell his name, but we used to call him Destructo. Why'd we call him Destructo? Because that boy would just break stuff. Like, he couldn't pass, like, a sign without kicking it. Like, he could not live with those things being upright. He would just kick them. He would kick over garbage. He would just break stuff. You know, that was just, you know, he just wasn't in his right mind. And his father was a cop, so he got away with breaking a lot of stuff. Like, you know, I mean, he would just like kick someone's mailbox over. He was not like part of the crew per se. We all knew him, but I knew he'd come in handy for a mission like this, you know, getting my car back from these freaking carjackers. So we get El Destructo in the car, and he's just like, yeah, man, let's go, you know. Okay, so El Destructo. Now, El Destructo, he went to jail for life because he had, when he was out of alcohol, and back then it used to be like Mad Dog 2020 and that type of stuff he used to drink. He used to put like beer in his Fruit Loops and stuff. So yeah, you know, he used to drink a lot, and when he ran out of booze, mind you, you know, liquor stores were closed and whatever, he used to drink rubbing alcohol, and we were just like, dude, that's F the F up, but you just don't mess with Destructo, you know. He was just like the neighborhood Destructo, but again, he was good for the mission. He ended up pounding his neighbor. He was like, he drank like a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and the neighbor came over and they got into an altercation, and somehow the neighbor died, and he went to jail for life, and his father couldn't get him out of it. It was a cop at the 113 of all things. So yeah, so now it's El Destructo. So we're cruising down a little more. Out front, the candy store, the corner candy store, of course. I mean, they actually used to put like the newspapers outside because people didn't steal nothing in town, you know, because like the Sons of Italy or, you know, Knights of Columbus, whatever. So, you know, and used to put the quarter in the dish and whatever. Nobody touched the dish. So outside of that was this dude, Smiley. Now, Smiley, he was a Puerto Rican dude from, like, he was on some Fresh Prince of Bel-Air activities. Like, you know, he already had, like, you know, tattoos around his gunshot wounds and stuff type of cat, you know, up from Spanish Harlem. And they sent him, you know, his folks sent him to the country, you know, to freaking Queens to get out of the lifestyle he was in. Like, picture like Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. He was like this. So we see Smiley, and we're like, yo, Smiley, what up? And he was like the oldest cat. He was like, you know, probably like 3 to 5 years older than, you know, the crew I was hanging with. But everyone knew Smiley, and Smiley was freaking nuts. Okay, so Smiley's in. So finally we got our crew, right? We're rolling 6 deep. It's me. What the actual F was that? What did that guy... Oh, you're seeing this, right? Look at this. You're seeing this, right? No regard for lights whatsoever. That's why, you know, I am like uber cautious. Anyway, so it's Parker, me, Tuddy, Destructo, Rob, and Smiley. So we're rolling like the UN. We just needed a Chinese guy, but I wasn't hanging with the Chinese until, I don't know, like a couple of years later. It wasn't until I started hanging with the Chinese. Otherwise, we would have been rolling like the, you know, like the UN, because that's what we did. And people say, you know, oh, there's problems and this and that. And no, man, you know, that's not how I grew up. You know, we just rolled with people who weren't D's. Okay, so we go cruising to Springfield Park. So we're like, all right, so we're rolling up on Springfield Park. So we will go out and recon a little bit. Yeah, man, your car's sitting right there. How many dudes? There's 3 dudes, you know, sitting around your car and whatnot. All right, so what are we going to do? So we're going to roll up on them and jump out, right? So we go rolling up, and freaking Parker's mom's Buick 88 into the parking lot. These guys jump into my freaking car and commence to booking. And now Parker's got his mom's car, so he's not about to like try to get hit or nothing like that or get backed into. So they start taking off because they had the keys. Remember, I left the keys in the car, right? So they had the keys. They were driving it like they owned it. So we're at Springfield Park. We're like doing all these maneuvers around the park there in order to get, you had to like go through this thing in order to get out and all this other. So we're at the handball courts, and we're by the basketball courts, and we're by like where they had like baseball fields over there that no one ever used. And then we get back onto, which was up there, 138th, right in front of the Knights of Columbus or the Sons of Italy, whichever it was, and they hang a right. And if you hang a right, you end up going down what's called Snake Road. Now, Snake Road it's in the tailwaters of the Jamaica Bay. It's like a swamp. It's like a bay that turns into a swamp that they put a road through. So it could connect this part of Queens down into like Far Rockaway and that area, like on the water and whatnot. And it's like, it's two, like right here, it's this wide. One lane going this way, one lane going that way. And off to the sides, if you got off this pavement, you were going straight into the swamp. I mean, you would literally see cars, like the ass end of cars off the side of the road where people went off and just, you know, into like 6 feet of mud, and all you see is the trunk and the back wheels and whatnot. And I mean, it was fun on a motorcycle, but in a car, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. We used to call Snake Road because it's windy. Okay, so these guys are freaking booking in my car, and it had like a 351. Shout out security. Area 51 security. All right, so they're booking down Snake Road, right? Cruising. And we're like, holy shit. Like, you know, we're like 30 inches from death on both sides, but we'll follow them. And then they hang a right on Rockaway Boulevard after we got through over there, right by, I think there was like a TSS or something like that, or a Modell's. I don't remember. It was one of them, like, you know, old school sporting goods type places. So we're cruising, and they make the right. So they go on to Rockaway. Then they continue jetting down Rockaway. And we're this broad freaking daylight, mind you. I don't think I tell it. This is like this broad daylight. They're trying to get away from us because we're rolling deeper than them, and nobody had burners on them. So, you know, numbers prevail. And Parker is doing his best in his mom's Buick 88 to keep up with my Torino. Bobbing, weaving, going in and out of cars. Burp, burp, burp. Well, like, it was nuts. So they make it to the Cross Island Parkway. So they get on the Cross Island Parkway, and there's like a service road that's crazy, and they're scraping the bottom of my vehicle, and it's just a shit show. And this is in broad freaking daylight. We don't get stopped. Nobody says nothing. It was just like, whatever. You know, oh, car chase. So the car chase is ensuing. So now we're on the Cross Island Parkway doing like a freaking 100 or something, bobbing, weaving, in and out of traffic. And then it slows down a little bit. So Parker gets a little, like, right next to them. And so we're rolling down the windows because I'm in the I'm in the passenger seat on the outside. On a bench seat, I never sit in the middle. So let's just get that straight. If you want me to ride with you and you got a bench seat, I always got to take the window seat. I ain't about sitting on a hump, you know. Okay, so I'm in the passenger seat. So I'm rolling down the window in his mom's Buick 88, and Smiley is right behind me. on the same side of the car. So he's rolling down the window, and Smiley whips out, because, you know, Smiley had a coat on. Smiley whips out this, like a Crossman 1377, like one of those pump action BB guns, like pump it up to 50 and blow a hole through a car type of deal. And he's got a crossbow, one of these like mini, like this big. Let me see. It's like this big, like a mini crossbow with like an 8-inch bolt that you could buy at like Dick's Sporting Goods or whatnot. I don't know where the hell he got it. So he's packing a freaking a pump BB pistol and a mini crossbow, and he's like, "Which one do you want?" I'm like, "What?" So he's like, "Yeah, you take the BB gun. I'm better with the crossbow." I'm like, "Bro, Smiley, don't be putting no freaking holes in my car, you know?" And he's like ready to freaking, you know, like shoot a freaking crossbow dart into my tire. And I'm just like, yeah, that's Smiley, you know, he's got tattoos around his gun wounds. So I'm like, bro, no, let's not do that. And he's like ready to do it. He's like rolling down the window. He's like, "I'm just gonna pop this guy with a freaking BB." I'm just like, oh man. So anyway, Parker, he starts like edging him over, like I'm edging over right now, and he edges him, and he edges him, and he edges him, and there's so many cars behind. They had no choice. So what happened was, we're right next to him. They couldn't go backwards. They could not go forward. We were right up in the face. Again, there was no, you know, nobody had burners, so we weren't worried about that. It was just a matter of, you know, when, where, and how this was going to come to a conclusion. So we're coming up on Flushing Meadow Park. And Flushing Meadow Park, it was like, it's got like the dilapidated ruins of like the 1963 World's Fair. It still had like a big globe and parts of like the Apollo spacecraft. It was like right there, right off the Cross Island. You could see it. Like, and you know, the thing that looked like the stratosphere, you know, if you Google like 1962 or 63 World's Fair, it was right there. So it was like an off-ramp to get into Flushing Meadow Park, is where we finally pushed them over. And we all jumped out of the car and did the same thing that they did, kind of surrounded them and whatnot. And Smiley's up there waiting like a freaking, you know, like a bandito with a you know, a crossbow pistol in one hand and a freaking BB pistol in the other, waving it around, talking about what he's gonna do. And these other guys were shitting their pants and whatnot. I honestly don't even know if it was the same dudes who carjacked. I mean, they were definitely in that set with them, but I don't know if it was the exact dudes or which dudes it was, because, you know, I was like swinging nunchucks and running for my life and whatever. So I really couldn't pick them out of a lineup per se, but they did have my car. But they gave up pretty freaking easily, you know, especially when Smiley and El Destructo. And I was telling El Destructo, I'm like, don't touch my car, because I know him. You know, he'd be like, must break, things must break. I'm like, dude, that's my car. That's how we getting home, you know? So, yeah, so, you know, and that's where we got them. So what we ended up doing to these guys, because like I said, they capitulated pretty quick. So we made them get on their freaking knees, right? And we took their shoes. And that was it. You know, we left them with the socks on. We took their shoes, and like, what are we going to do? You know, YT, I can't say, you know, but what are we going to do? You know, I got my car back. That was the goal. You know, it took like, you know, a 20-mile car chase and whatnot through freaking neighborhoods, Snake Road, Rockaway Boulevard. No, it was Rockaway Turnpike, going up the Cross Island, the whole bit, you know. And so we just took their shoes, you know. I think they might have incurred a little damage, but I don't know. And yeah, so we jump in my car, and it's making all like kinds of noises, because they had, when they were going down the when they were getting onto the Cross Island from the Belt Parkway, there's like this service road that's really bad. So they ended up jacking up one of my mufflers. So it ended up costing me my muffler. We did find, because we did go home, and this whole time, didn't get stopped, didn't get looked at, didn't get nothing. And to this day, you know, like the cops never called or whatever, checking on, hey, did you find your vehicle? No, they never did find it. You know, I found it. Well, Parker found it. I don't know what he was doing up over there, but whatever. So, yeah. And then we found some illicit type stuffs in the vehicle and some personal property and whatever. And we just, like, ditched it. You know, we went back, like, around in the Snake area, the Snake Road area. There's a bunch of, like, bridges and whatnot. So we got rid of, like, their personal stuff and whatever. And that was it. We got the car back and we hung out after that and kind of chilled. They left me with like 1/8 of a gallon of gas, barely got home. And yeah, that's the story about how I got carjacked. And I didn't put in the beginning of the story that I actually recovered the car. But the car was indeed recovered, thanks to my crew. So let's see. If there's any other uptakes on any of the... I don't know whatever happened to Smiley. I could only imagine. You know, Smiley was just... I mean, you could tell by the story. He was, you know, he was just into it. You know, he would have taken it to the full extent of what that story could have ended up. You know, he had just, like, no problem with that. But, you know, like I said, he was in the country of Queens on the whole Fresh Prince of Bel-Air deal. And El Destructo in jail, probably dead. Rob, insane asylum, Creedmoor. You could look that up. Parker, I know he's still alive. I don't know what his story is and whatnot. But someday I still gotta thank him for looking after Grams all those years. And let's see who else. Tuddy was quiet the whole time. Tuddy was, you know, like he just come along for the ride, and you know, like. Yeah. Tuddy was just like, yeah, I mean, he was down for anything, but he just come along, you know, it sounded like a fun adventure for him. So yeah, he was just down for the cause with that. And Tuddy, I don't know what happened to Tuddy. So that's pretty much it. Wow, someone is burning up some oil over here. I left a vent open. But anyway, so that's the story. So yeah, I got my car back. I later went on to sell it. I painted it. It wasn't an Earl Scheib, but it was a $39 paint job. I painted it up because, you know why I painted it up? Because it was white with a blue Landau roof. And I did, because I still, you know, okay, I just got my car jacked. I just went through all this drama of freaking chasing dudes around, and I still hung, and I was still from the same area. So that could have been like awkward. That could have been like, hey, wasn't that the guy who we stole the car from, who stole it back from us and left us in the middle of Flushing Meadow Park with no shoes on? You know? So I painted the car pretty quickly. Like within a month, I painted it. You know, I had the Landau roof removed, and I had it painted, and I changed the rims on it and all that. That way, well, I just snorted. That way it was like a little more, like low-key, because, you know, the white with the Landau roof and whatnot. Well, they weren't crazy. They were like knockoff Kragers I had on it. But, yeah, but we never ran into any beef after that, you know. And I think that had a lot to do with Smiley. Smiley might have had a talk with them afterwards, you know, but I don't know. Not for me to say, who knows. And that is, wow, I just smelled that guy's cigarette. What, I have my vent open? Shit, shut that down, bro. So that's the story. And that's the crew, and that's part of my life. And if someone was to stand across the street this very day and prevent me from forward momentum, I'd run their ass over. Just saying, because I had the negative experience. Yeah. So that is the story. Alright, Maria says, and you got your car back with a little help from some friends. You are welcome. I'm like hoarse now. Yeah, you better fly so you don't get carjacked. But yeah, it's a Tutty Bartelheim story. I wonder what ever happened to Tutty Bar. I mean, I know I could investigate all these people and whatnot, but honestly, guys, gals, it's not my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I moved out the neighborhood, you know? I mean, like I said, I could tell you what happened to most of these people, and probably a lot of it wasn't good. I could tell you a nunchuck story. Remind me to tell you the nunchuck story that was up on the telephone poles and what happened with that. You know, like, my neighborhood was like the kind of neighborhood that, you know, yeah, you just like, you know, I strove to get out of it, put it that way. You know, I busted my ass, you know, to make it out of the neighborhood. Not a lot of people did. Not a lot of people did in one piece. It wasn't horrible. Like, my grandmother lived like right in the center of it, but, you know, at one time it was like a different community, you know? I mean, at one time back then, I used to grow like, you know, I told you, I grew up like her. It was like a little commune back there with all the family that they brought over, and we used to eat the rabbits from the hutches, and I used to grow the tomatoes and all this other type of stuff. And I used to go with I literally had a wooden red flyer wagon, and I used to load it up with the tomatoes, and I used to go around to all the kumbas and the kumbas and around the block there, and, you know, hey, you want some tomatoes? They give me some carrots, and like, it was like a total swap. You know, I'd leave with like, you know, 20 pounds of these big beefsteak tomatoes that I grew in my grandmother's yard, and come home with like 99 different kinds of vegetables and then some pie and whatnot, you know. And then like one day there was weed spots everywhere, you know. But that neighborhood, you know, stayed a bit isolated, and everyone took care of my grams, you know, because my grams wouldn't go nowhere. You know, like, till the day she died, I offered. I'm like, you know, you come live with us. I come find you another place, you know. And she's like, no, I'm good here. But then, like I said, I didn't know that these people I grew up with, like Parker, you know, they was looking out for her the whole time, you know, because I was feeling bad, but she refused. And when, you know, when your 90-year-old, 80-year-old grandma says, ain't going nowhere, she ain't going nowhere. There's nothing you could really do about it. But I sweated her being in that neighborhood. But, you know, she had people looking out for her, you know. Nothing ever happened to her. Never got robbed, never got nothing. So, look at this craziness over here. What the actual F? This is one of the... So, like, F1 race cars are going to come down here? It'll be smooth enough someday? Awesome. Oh wait, I think I've seen a super chat. Chris and Frank, wishing everyone a great weekend. 29 days and counting. Isn't that's so crazy. Just antenna. Now I'm reading stuff. Yeah, I can't even imagine what that area is anymore. I can't. Well, I mean, one day I'm going to go back and I'm going to tour the old neighborhood. I'll probably make a 4K, you know, neighborhood I grew up in over by Mentone Avenue and whatnot. I mean, again, candy stores, town areas, and it became like the area most famous known for like Magic, the person, the dealer who actually brought down the 113th precinct because they tried to assassinate him. He was such a wanted person. They actually tried to whack him, not arrest him, and they were unsuccessful. And he brought down the NYC, you know, based on that in a massive lawsuit. Yeah, I mean that's the neighborhood I grew up in. But like I said, you know, we just roll with everyone. I mean, you know, it was like, okay, you got these Italians on this block, you got your Germans on this block, you got your, you know, well, there wasn't really Chinese in the area. You know, it was everything but Chinese people. It wasn't until I got a little older, but like the whole neighborhood was mixed. You know, you had the Jewish people were there, You know, black people were there, the brown people were there, everyone was there, you know, the Haitians was there, Rastafari was there, and everyone was like, whatever. Nobody gave two Fs. And nowadays we live in this world of identity politics. You know, it's like forced down the throat. I mean, I don't think anyone ever gave an F back then, you know, unless you're just like a straight up D. But that's, I don't know, that's the neighborhood I rolled in. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road. So is that a good story? Do you want another one another day? What other story can I tell you during story? Well, this, I don't think I'll do story time till during rush hour again. I think I went through like 9 red lights. And I'm stuck behind this freaking bus. Alright, let's get out of here. Let's pull a maneuver right now. Alright, we're good. I'll tell you the, I'll go into more depth about the people. I don't want to tell you all my stories. I'll tell you more about, I already told you a one-on-one Tutty story. I could tell you a one-on-one Destructo story. Destructo and my friend PT, let's call him. Destructo and PT. Someone remind me to tell you about that story. About the time that PT went AWOL from the Navy. That's a pretty decent story. That was me, PT, and Destructo. Yeah, we were on the run from like shore patrol for like an entire summer. You know, he was a little older than us too. That was an interesting time in life. I could tell you about the Genies. I could tell parties down at the roller skating rink. I can tell you about PT getting blown accidentally. I could tell you about, well, the story is the story of Rob in Rastafari. You know, how he went insane. That's a cautionary tale, you know. That still hurts. But he literally went insane. You know, I never saw someone go insane, but he went insane in the membrane. And who else? Who else could I bring up? This story. Like I could tell you the story about the nunchucks up on the telephone pole. That's an interesting story, too. Another cautionary tale of life. Oh, the signal gets a little wonksters in here. You love story times? I hope everyone enjoyed it. You like let's see, what other stories have I told? My Ted Turner rescuing us in Black Hawk helicopters after almost getting eaten by cougars. Not the female type, but like literal cougars. They want to eat us. Or bears, but they were cougars. I know cougars. What else? I told these stories, but I like telling stories. I don't think perhaps doing them driving does them justice, because I'm a little I'm like wrapped up. If you notice, I was going back and forth. I'm getting a text message on like my third phone. I was going back and forth between being a conscientious driver and losing track of the story, and getting engrossed in the story and being an unconscientious driver. So I don't know if we're gonna do it from the car again. Yeah, right here is a dead spot. I guess it's that freaking dome from Fashion Show Mall. It's like a giant antennae. So let's see. It is... it's an hour and a half already. Wow, that's a long-ass story. I might chop it up into a smaller one. I don't know. Maybe I'll edit it into a real story. We'll see. Where am I going? I don't know. I think I'm going to pull over real quick. Let me find a spot. Could have pulled in at the church over there. Yeah, let's just keep cruising a little bit. I do got to see a man about a horse, though. And I do have to... Oh, I forgot. I got to bring my freaking Toomey bag to the zipper spot. I told you, I found a guy who said he'd do it for like $50 plus or minus. So yeah, maybe, I don't know if you guys want to drive with me or not. No, I don't think I'm going to take you all the way there. Some freaking weirdo stalker will know about me. He'll be waiting. I got weirdo stalkers. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but I have stalkers. Like some real, like, criminal level stalkers. And so I gotta be careful. Yeah, let's go down here. Come on, let me go. Let's cut through Circus. A blom, back in my Gran Torino. A blom on the Cross Island Parkway. Blom. Oh, that's a view. No, freaking, I don't know. I might have I have one definite female stalker. No ifs, ands, or buttholes about it. I'm gonna let these people go. One, but that's more of a communication one. But the rest of them are guys. I think there's 3 in total that, like, I mean, they're my greatest fans because they watch everything I do, start to finish. You know, I mean, it's pure mental illness. I mean, it doesn't really, they're not bothering me per se. I mean, it's in a way I feel, I gotta be careful over here. I feel bad that, you know, their mental illness is going on, you know, but, you know, ultimately they're gonna do it to the wrong person, and, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I gotta be cautious. You just never know. You never know what's what these days. I mean, not saying like I'm a personality per se. I mean, I don't consider myself. I just come out here and hang out with my friends, whether there's, you know, 100 or 500, 1,000, 21,800, which we just hit this morning, by the way, 21,800. The last couple hundred have been a long haul. Now I'm seeing a pickup. Come on, peoples, let me go. And yeah, I don't consider myself that, but a lot of people, you know, they might. I just, you know, I'm just who I am. You know, I'm not all like full of myself and shit. People are like, oh, you got 22,000 people. I'm like, I guess. I got 22,000 friends. I roll pretty deep, you know. But, you know, I don't think of myself on that level. But people have, you know, people have mental issues and they gravitate sometimes. I don't know. I never studied the psychology of stalking and what makes people obsessed. I think it's more of an obsession than, well, I mean, there's been some physical stalking. Like I said, I'm very confident that, you know, the fact that my tires all went boom about a week ago, you know, had something to do with something. It was just too coincidental, like all of them. Come on now. Yeah, but I have to study the psychology of obsession and why people are like that, because it's sick. It's a mental illness, you know, but people have it happen. You know, small people, big people, women, you know, dudes stalking them, you know, chicks stalking guys and whatnot. You know, chick catches a bad case of alpha widow and she'll stalk him until the day she dies. And yeah, it's weird. People are weird. So that's why I'm like, you know, kind of cautious. Like I was thinking I should do my, you know, I told you about my new channel partner, T. Shanley, link in the description, 30% off your first order. I mean, I'm like thrilled to have them on board because they're a really great company. I'm like, yeah, I should do like, you know, make a whole show of it in, you know, in my place. You know, walk around, do my skincare, take care of my beard, you know, morning in the life of Bror Fredrik and whatnot. And then I'm like, dude, don't even think about it, you know? Because, you know, one, like people zooming in on everything, you know, trying to like figure out, you know, where they could freaking wait for me and shit. Oh yeah, I see, you know, I see this, and, you know, zooming in on freaking barcodes on an old UPS box in the corner of my room, you know, like people are wacky, You know, and I've come to realize that. I never thought about that in the beginning, but it is the truth, unfortunately. So that's why I'm pretty freaking cautious in the grand scheme of things. I mean, granted, I can take care of myself, but, it is what it is. It's just weird. I find it more weird than anything else. Like, it's not like scared, worrisome. I don't lose a freaking moment of sleep. It's just weird. It's just absolutely freaking weird, and it's pathetic, and hope these people get the help that they need someday. Yeah, Lauren, absolutely. Now, where are we going? I gotta pee so bad. Let me see, where are we going? Let me see if I can find let me pull up maps. I'll stop just short. It's not too far from here. It's an old, let's see. It's actually a shoe shop. Oh, it's like right up the block. I don't even need maps for this. And I'll let you know what happens with my Toomey bag. I'm excited to get my Toomey bag back in action. That's, shit, I've been telling that story since before Thanksgiving. It's funny, I was calling Valentine's Thanksgiving all day. This is like normal. See how the traffic's picking up? We was just here like an hour ago. You see how it's getting harsher? This is not a great neighborhood. This is Valley View again. So we've come full circle. Man, let me pull up the chat activities. Right? And in a freaking bottle. I did drink a lot of coffee. I always drink a lot of coffee. Who am I kidding? What's this guy beeping at me? What, I didn't run the light fast enough for you? Seriously? Like, I went through the light. Can I go through it any more illegally for you? You dumbass. That's Vegas. Where are we gonna go? And we're coming up on Chinatown right now. The Thunder Jug? What is that? I gotta catch up. I didn't see any of this chat, unfortunately. So should I cut this? There's not a lot of people. It's like a max of 200 during this little drive here. Should I cut it up into a separate video so everyone else could appreciate it? Is it like, was that story worthy? I mean, I've lived it, so I don't know if it's worthy or not. Did I do it justice? If so, I'll cut it into a separate video and put it up for the rest of the world to see. The name's changed to protect the innocent. You guys still talking about it? You missed it. Alright, I'll put it back up. Oh, it's fun, great story. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, we're like crossing over Chinatown. This place is actually called the Kung Fu Restaurant. What kind of coffee do I like? I mean, my house coffee that I personally keep in the house, not drinking out coffee, is actually why I went to Walmart last night. It's Walmart's own brand, and it's called Donut Shop. I bought it by mistake because it's a knockoff of Dunkin' Donuts, and it looks like they use the same branding colors on it. And I grabbed it one day, thinking it was Dunkin' Donuts, because that's what I used to have before that. I used to cycle between regular Dunkin' Donuts and Dunkin' Donuts Dark, which sometimes is too dark. And I grabbed their own brand, and it said Donut Shop. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking I gotta get the hell out of Walmart. What the hell am I doing here? And it's good. It's freaking good. It gives you the hit in the morning. It's not like I never got that like light morning coffee. No, I want the funkiest, darkest shit in the morning to get myself in gear, and then I start lightening up as the day goes long, Like I even have a blend where I have decaf and I mix it like 50-50. Like before bed, I literally drink coffee before bed, you know, and it's usually a 50-50. Something smells good. It's usually a 50-50 blend, but that's what I drink. I love that coffee. Second to that would be Dutch Brothers, but I've never like bought their tangible coffee, just went in there and had some. And after that would be Dunkin' Donuts. Further down the list, I mean, if I can get the coffee that the Wynn serves on the floor, I mean, they won't tell me. I try to bribe the girls in there. I'm like, how much, you know, what coffee is that? They're like, I don't know. Like, can I give you $10 to find out? They're like, no. But it is awesome. It is so freaking strong. Like, if you have heart issues, stay away. I mean, it makes Black Rifle coffee, which F them, by the way. It makes Black Rifle level coffee, which they sell in Walmart now, which I just found out yesterday. Makes it look like, you know, lightweight. I mean, it is strong. And they put the 2 stirrer sticks, which, yeah, someone sent me those a while ago, the identical ones to the Wynn, and it's just scrumptious. And then I would say there's well, the RW turned me on to the fact that they have coffee from Somalia. And the only thing I knew about Somalia, besides the cab drivers and Black Hawk Down, was now they have coffee. I'm like, all right. So the coffee at the RW in the high limit room is from Somalia, and it's freaking awesome. So there's a Somalian/Ethiopian spot like 2 miles that way that sells, they actually roast their own beans. Have you ever smelled like real roasted beans? It's not pleasant. Like the actual act of roasting, it is not pleasant whatsoever. It stinks. You can smell it for miles. But they roast their own beans from Somalia and Ethiopia, and I go over there once in a while if I'm in the neighborhood, go talk with them. They're nice people, and go buy some Somali coffee or some Ethiopian coffee. But yeah, coffee. It's my drug of choice. Let me get over this way. Oops, something transactional taking place up there. This is Mariana's. This is the other, this is the competitor to my spot, El Super. But Mariana's, every time I go in there, at least this one, it smells like roach spray. Like, it always smells like the exterminator just left. You know, if you've ever, lived in an apartment that had to get sprayed or something, it always smells like that. So I have just such low trust in anything that goes on at this Mariana's. And the prices aren't as good. El Super is just, I don't know. It's like the Macy's of the Hispanic markets. So it's more chill. Where am I going? I think I'm going to go find a place to see a man about a horse. Medical control. Oh, that's the place where I got when I busted my shoulder. This is the place where I got my slings. Cajun Mouth? What the? Let's go in the Cajun spot. Cajun Mouth. I heard a cotton mouth. What the hell is Cajun Mouth? Yikes. Yeah, that's the spot where I got all my slings and whatever when I busted my shoulder up bad. Yeah, I think I will stop over here. Yeah, daylight's burning, Bror Fredrik. Yeah, I'll go check out the Cajun spot. If it was good, I'll let you know. You sent me the Wynn coffee? You did? I just saw that now. Got a scoop from your way to La Colombia. No kidding. Thank you very much. Mariana's. I appreciate that. Thank you. I see another super chat. Yeah, I mean, that story deserves a soundtrack. I mean, abso-freaking-lutely. That's why I don't know if it was good doing it driving or not. I think I should I tell better stories walking. I'll have to listen to myself, see how I did. And thank you for those 10 Bananaramas. Wow, I appreciate you guys. You guys being very kind to me. Anyway, I'm going to go run inside this Cajun spot, and hopefully they got a men's room. Maybe I'll have to buy some, what's Cajun food? What do I got, like blackened crawfish or something in there? Maybe I'll go have lunch. I have to get to this Toomey Bag place by 6. So I have an hour and 20 minutes to book up there because I want this bag done desperately. And I'll let you know how that transpires. But in the meantime, let me turn this camera around. A bonk. What up? So this guy's been telling you stories this whole time. There we go. All right. And I appreciate you hanging out with me. I had a good time. I hope you did too. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow night. Saturday night is, it's the most fun night. I think the most activities. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope you guys are too. And Fridays, Fridays are hit or miss, but you just gotta like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to get notified when I do this again, which is 2 to 5 times a week. I hope you enjoyed the story. I thank you for sticking around the whole time, especially that little glitchy part at the beginning, but, that was my phone overheating. I don't know if you could hear the AC. I got it blowing onto the back of the phone, but it is what it is. And let's see what else. I'm going to invite you to click on any links in the description below. Don't forget Olight. Don't forget Tiege Hanley. Don't forget my Amazon store. And maybe some super thanks after, but I appreciate everyone who's here, everyone who looks out for me. I love you guys, and I know I can feel the love back. And let's see, what else I got to say? I got to say, I'm running there right now before I float my way in there. When you see me doing this, it's time to go. I love you guys. And on that note, what's the right angle? See, this is my good side. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.